Hello and welcome back to Let's Code Physics. I am just building an arcane NPC here with an adept level of 6 who's a human with a bonus to wisdom. Let's see, how difficult is this person going to be to fight in battle? They're going to have a challenge rating of 4, so not too terribly bad. My party is currently level 3, so they could take this person, conceivably, with the right circumstances. This person, being a spellcaster, is not terribly strong. They're pretty good at dodging things, though. They don't have a whole lot of cons, so I don't expect them to have a high HP. But then they've got decent intelligence and wisdom. And no, they do not have high HP. They've got an HP of 27. I think my party's rogue could probably take this guy out in one hit if he got a sneak attack on him. And then we get all the other information here. So this is, I have found pretty useful. It generates the stat block. I think this is the order it's usually presented in. If there's an order that's better for most players, please let me know. Or for most game masters, I guess for the people who are typically using NPC stat blocks. Last time we talked about getting these ability scores, but we didn't talk about how these classes are assigned. So that's what I want to take a look at today. Time permitting, I also want us to add a new class to kind of show you how you would do that if you, like, say you wanted to make a custom class, or say I hadn't gotten around to adding your favorite class yet, how you could do that. So this is where the terminology is going to get a little bit confusing because class is a term in C#. It refers to a type of object. It's actually not unlike a Pathfinder class, right? So a Pathfinder class is a type of person or a type of role that has certain attributes to them. Well, that's exactly what a C# class is like. It's a type of object that has attributes assigned to it. So in this case, the attributes we're assigning is the name of the class, the hit die for the class, the CR adjustment, the base attack bonus, and then the base for all of the saving throws. And so those are the things that we have to specify. Those are the attributes. In order to keep ourselves from getting confused, a Pathfinder class is going to be called PF class, not PF Changs, although now I want PF Changs at 8 o'clock in the morning. Great. So what we have to do when we're creating a Pathfinder class is we have to specify all of this information. Now, of course, there is more than this that goes into a class. There's the class skills, there's the number of skill ranks per level, there's all the special abilities, bonus feats, etc. But our code currently doesn't have that stuff programmed in. This is strictly to get this information in. So this is just to get, you need an NPC who can take a swing at a character and be swung at by a character. This is just sort of the basic information that you need. So basically what we do, whenever we want to create a class in this program, we need to use the new C# class, PF class. I'm going to get tired of saying class here, and I have class this morning. So you provide it with its name, its hit die, CR adjust, etc. Notice that these bonuses, so the base attack bonus, the fort base, and the reflex base, and the will base, all have to be a list because those increase with, or I shouldn't say increase, those are a function of level. They are a monotonically increasing function of level, meaning that they either increase or they stay the same. So here we've got a sample one, so you have to provide a default version. So the default version, if you were to somehow not include what class you're dealing with, it would be a commoner class. But let's take a look at where we define all the classes. Here over in the classes subroutine. So this is where we just create all these classes and we add them to a list. So this list of classes then gets accessed over here by NPC Gen. So this is the routine we were working with last time. So it looks for this class list, and basically here it's looping over whenever you add a class, it's going to add that particular, or it's going to add so many ranks in that particular class. I don't know why I called this ranks. I should have called this levels. Because ranks is technically skill ranks, but I haven't gotten confused yet. Hopefully I won't. I may need to change it later. So rather than type these lists over and over again, what I've done is I've gone ahead and stored the types of progressions that you get. And there's really there's 5 progressions that you have options for. For a base attack bonus, you have 3. You have a fast base attack bonus. That's where your base attack bonus is equal to your class level. So that goes from 1 to 20. There's the medium base attack bonus, where you start out at 0 and you increase by 1 almost every level. When you get to when you get to a base attack bonus that's an integer multiple of 3, you get stalled at that base attack bonus for 1 level. So this one only goes up to 15. Still not too shabby, but not great. So this is the medium base attack bonus is the one used for most player classes. The fast base attack bonus is reserved for your combat heavy classes, fighter, barbarian. I think, does the rogue get fast or medium? I don't remember. And then you have the slow base attack bonus progression. This is the one for your spellcasters to kind of balance them out. This one starts at 0, and then it increases by 1 every other level. So this base attack bonus only goes up to 10. And so basically, when you're calling the PF class function, you tell it which class you want. So this is stored in in what's called an enumerator, called class ID. That's just so that everybody's on the same page with what these values are. You provide it with, let's see, what's the first argument? You provide it with a hit die and then the CR adjustment. So the hit die is, what die you roll to get this class's HP. We'll take a look at the HP generation in just a second. And you provide the CR adjustment. So this basically turns the NPC level into a challenge rating. So for NPC classes, this is a -2. For player classes, it's a -1. So this is either going to be a -2 or a -1, unless there's other rules for that I don't know about. Again, I am welcome to being corrected on that. I have not done much of my own NPC designing, aside from using an NPC generator. And then you specify the base attack bonus. So for example, for the Adept, that's a caster, so they get the slow base attack bonus. And then you have the saves. So you have a fast saving progression, a slow saving progression. I've since learned that these are more commonly referred to as good saves and bad saves. So I might change those to good and bad at some point. But the point is that the good saving progression starts at 2. So that's nice to automatically start with a saving bonus of 2. And then it increases by 1 every other level. So it gets to a maximum of 12. The bad saving progression starts out at 0, stays at 0, then finally increases to 1 at level 3. You say, oh my goodness, I finally get an appreciable bonus to my saves. But then it increases only once every 3rd level, so it only gets up to a 6. So generally, most classes, again, unless they're particularly combat heavy, have 1 fast save or 1 good save and 2 slow saves. The commoner, unfortunately, gets all slow saves. I mean, they're commoners, right? This is supposed to be the innkeeper who's not going to be fighting a whole lot. You should not be beating up the innkeepers, I don't think. But hey, if you're playing an evil character, or if you think the innkeeper knows where the treasure is hidden, don't let me tell you what your PC would do. So there you just specify which save they get. So do they get slow save? Do they get a fast save, etc.? So for example, the warrior gets a fast. Which one comes first? I think it's Fort Reflex Will. Fort Reflex Will, and I'm trying to keep those in line with the order they appear in all the tables, like we'll see in a second. So for example, the warrior gets a fast fort progression, but a slow reflex and a slow will progression. Sorry, warriors, you don't have a whole lot of willpower. Meanwhile, the expert, so somebody who is studious, gets a better will save progression, but not so great fortitude or reflex saves. I just noticed none of the NPC classes get a high reflex save, so that's interesting. So what the main code then does when it's adding a class, it looks for the class ID and it assigns R number of levels to that to the NPC for that class. So here, for example, it determines the HP. So HP is first determined for the first level, you get maximum HP. So you get the value of the hit die plus the con bonus. So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong about this, you only apply the con bonus. You don't apply a con penalty to HP. I believe I saw that clarified on Reddit. Again, please let me know if I'm mistaken about that. But for all the other levels, so for levels 2 going up to R, you add in a die roll. So this is just rolling the dice, rolling one to the hit, going from 1 to the hit die. Oh yeah, the reason there's a +1 on here is because this random.range function is kind of asymmetric. It can select this bottom number. It can select the lowest number, but it can't select the highest number. So it's inclusive of this number, but exclusive of this number. So in order for it to reach up to the hit die value, we have to add 1 to that. So that way the hit die maximum is within the range. And then again, it adds the con bonus every level. And then it's just a matter of keeping track of everything else. So it adds in the CR for that class. It adds the base attack bonus for that class at this level. And then the MAB and the RAB, that's the melee and the range attack bonus. So I've already initialized those with the strength and dexterity modifiers and size modifiers and anything else that they get. So this is just keeping up the attack bonus with the class progression. And then it does the same thing with Fort, Reflex, and Will. It's adding to each of those. That's what this plus equals means, is take this value and add to it this thing. So it's adding the base save based on the level. And again, C# starts counting at 0, so this has to be the level -1, because if you come back over here, this first entry is entry 0, this second entry is entry 1, this third entry is entry 2. I don't know why programmers built it that way. They have explanations for it, but I've never really bought it. And so basically it does this for every class. So if I go back up to here, where do we call the add? Okay, yeah, up here. So after we generate the ability scores and we reset the HP to 0, reset the base attack bonus to the modifiers, etc. We come down here and we get to, based on each rank, you add a class. So it's going to check for whether the ranks is greater than 0, and if it is, it's going to add the ranks in that class. This is just to keep it from calling this unnecessarily. If you have 0 levels in that class, you don't need to be calling that subroutine. So that's how that works. If I, for example, want to make I need to run the code in order to access the menus. So if I want to make let's go with a heroic, and let's make this person a divine spell casting gnome. But let's suppose this gnome, so as a spellcaster, they would take some levels in adept. But let's suppose this gnome was also born to a wealthy family, has also done quite a bit of studying, and has trained for a couple days with a sword. And what do gnomes take penalties to? Let's see. Gnome take a penalty to strength. So this gnome is going to be at level 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's have this gnome's strength get buffed by ability score improvements. So we click on go. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a quad class gnome. And the printing subroutine takes care of concatenating all this stuff so that we know this gnome is an Adept 3, Aristocrat 2, Expert 2, Warrior 1, CR of 1/2. I'm not entirely sure that I've implemented the CR calculation appropriately. Please let me know if I've amalgamated that correctly, because what I've done is I've subtracted 2 from each of these and then presented the CR based on that. I'm not entirely sure whether you subtract 2 from each of them or whether you subtract 2 from the total level. So NPC experts, please let me know if I've done that correctly. Now here's the gnome's ability scores. He did get a +2 to strength because of his leveling up. So the only thing he's really missing is dexterity. So he's not a very nimble gnome for some reason. Down here we get the hit points, just like we saw calculated. So again, this is the result of rolling, of getting the base hit die for Adept, Aristocrat, Expert, and Warrior, and then rolling the Adept die twice, rolling the Aristocrat die once, and rolling the Expert die once. So he's got a decent HP. That also comes from his +3 to Constitution at every level. Jeez. And then we get and of course he takes a penalty to his AC because of his lower dexterity. But he's got it. I mean, he's got an impressive will save. So this to me is the fun part, is looking over the numbers and trying to figure out, okay, what kind of situation would I put this gnome in? What is his background? Why is he encountering my party? So I think we can take a few minutes now. What I'd like to do is add a class to this, just to show you, give you a better idea of how this works out. I know it's one thing to show one of these things, but I'd really like to be able to show you how we add one of these. So the first thing I need to do is I need to call on the class list. So this is the list that stores all the PF classes. I guess I could have called this PF class list, but I try to keep my variable names from getting too long. And basically what we're doing is we're adding an item to that list. The item we're adding is a new PF class. So this is saying I want to call over to PF class here. And so the first thing I need is I need to call on fighter here from this enumerator. So let's copy this, paste it down here, and let's add on fighter. Now it's going to throw an error when it tries to read this, because you can see right here it says NPC Gen class ID does not contain a definition for fighter. So I need to go back over here, and way up at the top, I guess I could just hit Control Home. What I need to do is I need to add onto, not races, onto classes. Here we go, here's class ID. I need to add on fighter. Cool. So fighter is now a legal value for this thing. Let's see, we need the fighter's hit die comes next. So let's reference the d20pfsrd.com. Let's see, the fighter's hit die is a d10, so I would put in a 10 value here. Next comes the CR adjustment. The fighter is a PC class, so it has a CR adjustment of -1. And now I need to start putting in his attack bonus. Look over here. The fighter has a fast base attack bonus progression. It starts at 1 and increases by 1 at each level. So I would say fast BAB. You'll notice I have not yet implemented the multiple attacks yet. I haven't figured out how to do that. I think probably the easiest way to do it is to just create additional arguments for BAB2, BAB3, BAB4, etc. Within here, and then just just have a bunch of zeros at the beginning. If you think of a better way for me to do that, to have it sort of automatically calculated, let me know. We'd be glad to make this more efficient. Next comes his, let's see, we go in order of the table. Next comes his fortitude save, and he's got the good fort progression, so we would say this is a fast save for his fort. Next comes his reflex. Reflex is the bad saving progression, so we have slow save. And then the will save is also a slow saving progression. Slow save. There we go, so I close it. And then when I hit the semicolon, the fact that it changes the spacing for me tells me that I did something right. Hooray. So really the fighter is no different. Currently, the fighter is no different than the warrior except for the CR adjustment. What does make it different, though, are these class skills and the number of skill ranks per level and the feats that he gets. But again, we haven't programmed those in yet, so I will be programming those in off camera and showing them in a future update. Now, of course, the other problem is I can't actually select the fighter yet. So I need to add a fighter over here on my list of rank selections, class selections, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the warrior ranks here, and I'm just going to copy and paste this thing. So over here, I'm going to change this from warrior ranks to fighter ranks. And then what I need to do is in my options, I need to replace all these instances of warrior with fighter. And then of course after this, we will need to go into NPC Gen and add in a reading for this thing. Because currently we don't have any fighter ranks assigned. Cool. Let's see, we don't need to change anything else about this, I don't believe. Let's save our Unity scene. So we now have a fighter selection menu, and unfortunately it's taking up the same space as the warrior menu, so let's just slide it down in the Y-axis. There we go. There are a heck of a lot of classes in Pathfinder, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to get these to fit in one screen. Again, I'm not worried about the visuals right now. So let's see. So there you can select the fighter ranks. So let's give this thing now, basically everywhere I have one of these classes, I now need to add one for fighter. So I need a fighter ranks. Cool. Let's see. None of these need to change there. Let's see. A chunk of code here to actually look for that drop-down menu that I just created. So we created it with the name Fighter Ranks. We did spell it correctly, right? F-I-G-H-T-E-R. F-I-G-H-T-E-R. Cool. So now instead of Fighter Ranks, and all this remains the same because it's just looking at this particular child object. So then we'll add on Fighter here. And we'll, what did I do? Oh, this needs to be lowercase, excuse me. And then we add to class fighter and fighter ranks. Actually, that's just adding to the class string, so the thing that gets printed out later. And the beautiful thing is, now when I go to add class, okay, yeah, now I need to add one last chunk, which is a fighter rank. So I need to make this fighter ranks, add to class ID fighter. This needs to be fighter ranks. Cool. Now, selecting the fighter at this point, like I said, isn't going to make a whole lot of difference because in the code as it's currently set up, fighter is identical to warrior except for an artificial adjustment to CR. So what we will do next time is we'll go over how we're going to add in the skills, because currently our NPCs are strictly combat oriented. They have HP, AC, saving throws, attacks, and defense. And so what we need to add in next are their skills, their perception, their stealth, their knowledge, everything like that. So I'll be working on that off camera, and then I'll show you what that looks like next time. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.